The New York Times is getting called out for its way with words, if you'll call it that, portraying President Biden as a, quote, storyteller-in-chief and excusing his tall tales in a new piece downplaying his repeated falsehoods, writing, quote, for more than 4 decades, Mr. Biden has embraced storytelling as a way of connecting with his audience, often emphasizing the truth of his account by adding not a joke in the middle of a story. Mr. Biden's folksiness can veer into folklore with dates that don't quite add up and details that are exaggerated or wrong, the factual edges shaved off to make them more powerful for audiences. Wow, way to put lipstick on a pig. Yeah. The Times case references a story Biden has often told about having his house burned down while the First Lady was inside, but it turns out it was just a kitchen fire that was quickly put under control by firefighters. The president repeated that story just yesterday.
Lightning struck in a little pond behind my house, came up through the ground into the air conditioning system, ended up generating thick black smoke, literally that of those proportions. And from the basement to the 3rd floor, the attic, everything was ruined. And the kitchen floor, we almost lost a couple firefighters, they tell me, because the kitchen floor was the burning between the beams in the house, in addition to almost collapsed into the basement.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, Harris, in the words they use, we have them on the wall. Let's take a look. It's not just the one. It's not just embellished narratives. It's loosely based on facts, storyteller-in-chief, exaggerated biography, factual edges shaved off. And my favorite, the title, spins yarn that often unravels. I mean, it paints a picture in your head of like an old man in a rocking chair, like grandpa just saying he did something he didn't, when you could, if you're being kind, say these are exaggerations or mistruths, or being unkind, just call them what they are, which is lies.
Yeah, the problem is that the fire chief right after said it took him 20 minutes. I mean, he's like impugning people's livelihoods as firefighters because he wants to make his embellished story have more impact with the listener. I mean, it's the difference between the front page of the news and the editorial section. You know, he lives in the editorial section where he's just going to take it and run with it. And oh my gosh, the more, you know, embellishment that comes, the brighter the story shines, the more cleanup that his team has to do. But it's not his team that's really cleaning these up anymore. It's the officials, the families of that train conductor who he purports to know because he rode on the train down to Scranton so often. And the family has said, you know, it's hurtful when you tell that. It's not possible that he knew the man because he had been deceased before he said he knew him. I mean, it's hurtful. But more than that, it is manipulation at a fiery form that we cannot accept.
Yeah, he has to be a part of everyone's life story, Emily. Like talked that Puerto Rican community gaffe that he did. He was arrested marching with the civil rights movement. His staff apparently begged him in the 80s not to say that story, and they said they thought he understood, but he kept saying it. Like, he has to be in every event.
That's right, and when you strip it down to what it is, he is truly misappropriating minority cultures. He's flat out lying. He is, for some reason, trying to have some type of empathy, that close alignment with a lot of minority communities, including telling them to their face that if you don't vote for him, you're not black. And I'm not quite sure why the Democratic machine has insisted on protecting him since 1987. Because as far back as 1987, when he ran for president back then, or Senate, whatever it was, I just blanked, that he said that he had these multiple degrees and he was this place in the class or whatever.
Class,
Exactly. Since then, he's been protected. Why? That's what you're talking about, the manipulation that you're talking about. I see it from the media and I see it from the machine. And how is it that he is truly that candidate that is supposed to represent the minority communities that aren't monolithic, the single women, the business owner? Is that really the best you've got, Democrats? Because for some reason, you're acting like he's a coronated king. He's a liar and he has become feeble and everything out of his mouth is untrue. It's like the Rachel Dolezal of presidential positions. How is he allowed to skate by? And they call former President Trump a liar?
Yeah, David,
we get called worse on this couch all the time. It is ridiculous the amount that they're protecting him. I don't know why.
And that's just it. The same article, they call President Trump a liar. They said lied constantly. They say Biden's fictions are nowhere near the scale. And my favorite is they cite this author. They say he obviously has this tendency where he's a good and decent man. Obviously, he's a good and decent man who in politics has felt like he could stretch the truth to a point, just like virtually every president has done. Said Eric Alterman, the author of Lying in State, Why Presidents Lie and Why Trump is Worse. Like, this is who they go to as their expert.
The president goes from hurtful to a new level of harmful to Americans when his lies are about that his Inflation Reduction Act is going to bring inflation down.
Great point.
He is harmful to Americans with his lies when he says he's going to get out of Afghanistan in a safe, orderly way. Or that gas prices are going to come down.
Great point.
That's where these lies are harmful to Americans and why they know it, and why to what you said earlier, Kayleigh, why Joe Biden has to be in Oregon, a Democratic stronghold, 3 weeks before an election to try to help Democrats in a state they shouldn't have to worry about.
Well, not to mention the fact, how desperate are they that they want a president whose polling is in the toilet and has been for over a year?
How effective is he going to be? That's a
People
joke
are
on them.
so tired of the double standards and the hypocrisy. So one person gets called a liar, the other gets called a storyteller. This is what we're doing with language these days in society. It's not a student loan, because guess what? You don't have to pay it back. You know, you're not a mom, you're a birthing person. This change in language, it's really ticking people off. I'm trying to clean up my language. I have kids at home. It's really irking people because it's not only Biden who is saying these things. It's his whole staff that either, they do a little cleanup, but they stand by him. And it's the media that doesn't push back enough and doesn't question this stuff and doesn't clarify for everyone that this is bull. This is, I mean, the list of the things that he has told is unbelievable.
Oh, but Michelle, the New York Times said he's unable to break himself of the habit. So there you have it.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.